Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back on another video from Too Spooky, and today we're going to check out the true difference between Logia and Paramecia, devil fruits. I was going to check out the top 10 Paramecia, top 10 Logia, top 10 Zoan, but I thought before that we'll get an actual explanation on what the actual difference is between Logia and Paramecia types. Probably me being stupid, but for someone to feel like they need to be a video made explaining it, surely there are other people like me that are a little bit confused. So let's get into it. Let's find out what the true difference between Logia and Paramecia devil fruits are, shall we?
How's it going, everybody?
Too Spooky here.
And in this video today, we're going to be talking about the difference between Paramecia and Logia
Sweet.
devil fruits. I know most of you are probably thinking that this video is going to be pointless just from the title alone. We all know what Paramecia devil fruits are, and we all know what Logia devil fruits are, and we've known what they are for such a long time now. And, well, I agree with you. This video shouldn't have to be made, but unfortunately, due to an influx of uneducated comments I've received over time, I felt like this topic is something that some people just haven't wrapped their heads around quite yet, especially when it comes to certain Paramecia devil fruits having Logia-like properties.
Right, yeah, there is a slight confusion.
In this video, we're going to be discussing why certain Paramecia devil fruits are in fact Paramecia, even though they have Logia-like properties and vice versa.
Right.
So essentially, even though certain abilities overlap with each other, we're going to be defining what exactly
it actually is.
a Logia
Okay.
and what exactly is a Paramecia.
I feel stupid doing reactions to this now, but okay.
Even if they seem very similar. I've seen a lot of confusion and misinformation being spread, or just overall oblivion to this topic in general. Therefore, the overall goal of this video is to help educate those of you who aren't sure of the difference, and if at least one person walks out with a better understanding, well, this video will have been worth the effort.
Awesome.
On top of that, we're also going to be going over
though.
a couple devil fruits whose classification is still debated to this very day. So even if you think you know all there is to know, maybe you'll see a different perspective or walk out with a better understanding than before.
Cool.
So let's begin with what exactly makes a Logia
cool.
and a Paramecia a
Paramecia, cool.
A Logia is classified as a devil fruit that grants its user the ability to become or create a seemingly endless amount of a specific element of nature,
right,
or force of nature for that matter. For one example, the Goro Goro no Mi, or Rumble Rumble fruit, grants its user Enel the ability to generate, create,
and turn
control,
into,
and transform into lightning.
Yeah.
Each Logia fruit also has its own unique properties and abilities depending on the element or force of nature it contains. For example, on top of being able to turn into electricity or strike people with lightning bolts, Enel is also able to hear almost anything within a certain range by listening to electrical sound waves that travel throughout the
something
air.
that's added on.
Each Logia devil fruit can grant different abilities on a fruit-to-fruit basis, rather than all of them having the same general makeup of abilities. One thing that Logia users do have in common is that pretty much all of them are intangible and
their bodies can like change.
Attacks. Instead, they can only be hit by Haki attacks or their natural weaknesses, like fire being weak to water. This also includes solid elements like ice, as seen with the He no Mi or Chili Chili fruit, which even though ice is a solid, it still allows attacks to pass through the individual.
Well, that is a bit of an odd one.
But for some reason, the Yami Yami no Mi, or Dark Dark fruit, is not intangible like other Logia, making many people think it's actually a Paramecia,
right.
But we'll talk about that one later.
Okay.
Anyway, that, for the most part, is what is classified as a Logia devil fruit. When it comes
so basically, if you can manipulate your body to be like have things transform through it.
A lot more broad. Paramecia are basically devil fruits that grant their user some sort of power that isn't transforming into an animal like a Zoan or an element like a Logia. Some of these potential powers include body modifications, changes to the surrounding environment, producing a substance, or some
so it turns you into like an X-Man
that are not considered Zoan. So basically anything that isn't specifically considered a Logia or Zoan is automatically classified as a Paramecia, which does make it a little bit hard to tell the difference between certain Logia and Paramecia fruits, because some Paramecia devil fruits are very similar to Logia or have Logia-like abilities, and a couple Logia also have somewhat Paramecia-like abilities as well. So now that you know the difference between Logia and Paramecia devil fruits, let's look at a couple devil fruits elements that many people have issues with in terms of classification.
Okay.
The first one we're going to talk about is a relatively new addition to One Piece. Therefore, I'm issuing a spoiler warning now. I'm referring to the Mochi Mochi no Mi, or
Katakuri.
Mochi Mochi fruit, which was consumed by Charlotte Katakuri. This fruit is probably the most confusing to some, because when it was first introduced in Shonen Jump magazine, it was originally classified as a Logia devil fruit. But then, in the volume release of the same chapter, it was changed to what is called a special Paramecia instead. You may be thinking,
What? A special Paramecia, yeah.
To be honest, I'm not even entirely sure myself. Other than the term special Paramecia, we were never given an explanation of what that even is.
Right.
Or what's
Damn,
so
okay, so
special
there's
about a
understandably
special
some confusion
Paramecia.
there.
My guess would be this. The Mochi Mochi no Mi grants Katakuri the ability to transform into Mochi, create Mochi, and control it. Which does sound strikingly similar to a Logia devil fruit, except for the fact that Mochi itself is not an element or force of nature.
That's true.
Making a special Paramecia a Paramecia devil fruit with
Logia
Logia-like
abilities, right, okay.
Or, simply put, it's essentially a Logia devil fruit comprised of something that is not exactly found in nature. This is also excluding Devil Fruit Awakening. Instead, we're just going off of the unawakened abilities.
Okay.
Otherwise, the Ito Ito no Mi, or String Fruit, could also be considered a special Paramecia, because through its awakening, it also gains Logia-like abilities. But at the time of making this video, it is still considered a regular Paramecia, and the Mochi Mochi no Mi is the only special Paramecia to date. So although the Mochi Mochi no Mi started out as a Logia in its first appearance, this was later backpedaled and changed
Special Paramecia.
to a special Paramecia instead. And even though we don't have a clear-cut answer as to what that even is, it basically stems from having Logia-like abilities. At least that's my guess. But
so it's understandable
it
why people get confused with these
nature,
things,
it is officially classified as a Paramecia. So hopefully that clears up any confusion with that one. The next fruit we're going to talk about is the Yami Yami no Mi, or Dark fruit. There's a lot of debate and controversy floating around with this one, and in the process, many people claim that this devil fruit is something that it's not, and I'll be sure to explain why. This devil fruit is a Logia, and this was confirmed by Blackbeard himself in the manga. It allows Blackbeard to create and control darkness, along with some other very unique abilities like nullifying other devil fruit powers, to name just one. But the reason many people argue about this fruit actually being a Paramecia is because it does not allow Blackbeard to become darkness.
Right, he can't actually become it itself.
Intangible like every other Logia fruit, making this fruit seem a bit out of place with the other Logia, especially with all the additional abilities granted with this one. It could easily be argued that this is, in fact, a Paramecia. But although you could argue that fact, it's simply not true, and unless it's changed at some point in the future, it will forever be a Logia. Although I do understand most of the counter-arguments, they are simply not enough. Like we discussed with the Mochi Mochi no Mi, a Logia needs to be a force of nature or element to be considered a Logia. And darkness is considered a force of nature, or depending on how you look at it, it could even be considered an element, though not exactly. Similar to how the Pika Pika no Mi or Glint fruit is comprised of light, this fruit is essentially the exact opposite, the absence of light. That right there should be enough to justify its place as a Logia. But like Blackbeard said, this is a very unique Logia, and therefore because it's unique, it has properties and abilities that don't exactly match other Logia fruits completely, such as Blackbeard not being able to become darkness itself. And if you really think about it, becoming the absence of light would essentially be becoming nothing at all.
You'd be erasing your existence,
However, at the same time, it is possible for Blackbeard to suck people into the darkness, essentially throwing them into an empty void of nothingness. Which is where that absence of light could lie, and that could be why Blackbeard cannot become intangible. I will admit, this fruit is certainly different compared to all the other Logia,
very
and even
different,
has some
and weird.
Paramecia-like characteristics. But this fruit was not only confirmed to be a Logia a very long time ago, but it also allows the user to control and create a force of nature. And although he isn't able to become intangible, that doesn't mean this fruit isn't a Logia. Instead, it simply means that not all Logia are able to become
intangible, I suppose.
Or at the very least, it could just be an exclusive trait to the Yami Yami no Mi.
Itself,
but even without intangibility, this fruit is capable of doing things that not even a Paramecia could, instead furthering what it means to be a Logia and control nature, rather than falling short. Because this fruit is considered Logia, even without intangibility, it really widens the line of what could be considered Logia instead of Paramecia. Because there are a handful of Paramecia devil fruits that many people believe are actually Logias,
okay,
or at
here we
the very
go.
least should be. And we will talk about those next, and why they really are Paramecia instead of Logia.
Right.
Many people mistake the Doku Doku no Mi, or Venom Venom fruit, as a Logia, when it is in fact actually a Paramecia. And with this one in particular, I can certainly understand why someone could easily confuse it as a Logia. At first glance, it does appear as if Magellan can turn himself into poison, which would mean he's essentially transforming into an element, and therefore could be intangible. But the thing is, Magellan can't actually transform into poison.
He just
Instead,
covers
he can
himself
only
in
produce it and control it. So when his body appears to be made of poison, it's actually just his body covered in poison.
Right, okay, okay, I get that.
The poison itself is also not really an element or force of nature per se.
Yeah, it's just
so in that
poison.
aspect, it's more of a superhuman ability. That right there is the distinct reason.
Yeah, I give you that.
Yeah,
He's covering himself. He's not actually becoming it.
And Magellan cannot transform himself into poison.
He just covers
like
himself
a
in it.
Logia
Right,
user would be able to.
Onto.
But what about the Yami Yami no Mi? Blackbeard isn't able to become darkness, but he is able to produce and control it. Strikingly similar to how the Doku Doku no Mi operates with poison.
Yeah.
And as far as extra abilities and techniques, in a lot of ways, these two fruits are very similar. They both allow each user a vast variety of different abilities and techniques, many of which are unlike any other Paramecia or Logia devil fruit for that matter. So what makes the Doku Doku no Mi a Paramecia, but the Yami Yami no Mi a Logia? From what I can see, it simply comes down to the fact that poison in this case is not considered an element, and Magellan cannot transform into it, whereas darkness is considered an element or a force of nature, depending on how you want to look at it. And although Blackbeard cannot transform either, the fact that it's a force of nature is where the line is drawn between the two. This also helps us better understand the difference between Logia and Paramecia. Logias are without a doubt always, and I mean always, an element or force of nature, and all of them can control and create that specific element. But they don't necessarily need to be able to transform into it, although almost all of them can. Paramecias can essentially have the same exact abilities, although they are not able to become intangible with their ability under any circumstance, nor are they an element or force of nature.
So that element or force of nature is the big one.
A superhuman ability that can allow them to create some sort of substance or object that they can control in the process, that is not an element or force of nature. This discovery right here also makes me want to mention the Mochi Mochi no Mi once again. Because although Katakuri is able to create, control, and even become Mochi like a Logia, he is not intangible and can be hit by normal attacks. Instead, Katakuri was just using his advanced observation haki to see the future and morph his body to avoid any attacks, making it appear as if he were in fact intangible.
When actually he's morphing his body to dodge it, because he can turn into Mochi,
a special Paramecia at that, Katakuri can still become Mochi. But the reason that this fruit isn't a Logia is because Mochi isn't an element, but is instead a substance. So to truly be a Logia, some sort of element or force of nature needs to be involved. Otherwise, it is classified as a Paramecia. And the Logia user needs to be able to create and control that element, but not necessarily be able to become that element, although it is a common trait. Whereas a Paramecia
there's lots of
could
butts and ifs and babies here, isn't it?
But only with a substance that is not found in nature. So simply put, Logia equals elements or forces of nature, no matter what. And Paramecia equals other substances and basically everything else that isn't transforming into an animal. this conclusion leaves one last thing I quickly need to touch upon,
Okay.
which would be Jozu's unnamed diamond fruit, and other fruits that are similar to it.
Huh.
I'm bringing this up because many people also believe this fruit is a Logia, or at the very least should be. The reason for that is because Jozu is able to become diamonds, which is an element found in nature, which, like we established before, because diamonds are an element, it means that this should be a Logia. But that isn't exactly the case. Jozu may be able to become something found in nature, but he is not able to produce more diamonds outside of his body.
It just forms on his body.
And therefore has nothing external to control as well. And because diamonds are the hardest naturally occurring substance known to man, he is definitely not intangible. So although this is found in nature, Jozu is not able to produce this substance or control
away
it
from
like
his
every
body.
other Logia
Yeah.
is capable of doing with their element. The intangibility part I would be willing to argue not being necessary because of the Yami Yami no Mi, but because Jozu cannot produce this substance, Jozu's devil fruit
it literally just
instead
forms on his body.
Paramecia.
Right.
So here is our final conclusion of
Jesus.
what makes a Logia a Logia.
It's not as straight. Do you know what? I don't
Paramecia
feel so
a
stupid after
Paramecia.
watching this.
To
It's not
be
that straightforward.
considered a Logia, the devil fruit in question must be an element or force of nature in some way, and the user of this devil
Must be able to produce it and do something with it
and control this
outside of their body,
outside
right?
of their body. Intangibility is also a very common ability among the Logia, but it is not necessary. And to be considered a Paramecia, it can really be anything. But if the Paramecia in question is able to produce, control, or become a substance, it is not
found
a Logia
in,
if the substance
it's
in
not in
question
nature,
is
right.
not found in nature.
Okay.
And if the substance in question is found in nature, but the user is not able to produce or control that element outside of their own body, they are also considered Paramecia. But that is our video today,
There we
guys.
go.
Hopefully you
There
now
we
have
go.
a better understanding of what is
Kinda.
a Logia and what is a Paramecia. While researching this, I even learned a few new things myself.
Cool.
So if I could learn something new, hopefully you could too. The purpose of this video is simply to help better educate you guys, and the One Piece community as a whole. Because sometimes it's easy to get confused or even forget information like this.
Definitely, there's a lot going on in One Piece.
Especially when some devil fruits are so similar, yet classified differently. Hell, I've even had people try telling me that the Gomu Gomu no Mi is a Logia. So that right there should be reason enough for this video to exist, because that guy needs some serious education. If you guys enjoyed this video today, make sure to drop a like, and if you'd like to see more One Piece explained videos, be sure to comment what topics you would like explained down below. I'd love to make more of these, but I'm really not sure what you guys would like to see topic-wise. Also make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be notified the next time a One Piece video comes out, and with that, if you guys want to see some more One Piece related content, make sure to click here for the top 10 strongest One Piece characters. And if that's just a bit too much for you, well, make sure to click here for 10 facts about Brook. Thank you for watching.
I'm going to check out the top 10 strongest, because I think it's a really long video, I think. I think it's like 2 hours long, isn't it? But I'm going to check out the top 10 Paramecia next, I think. Then the top 10 Logia. Then the top 10 Zoan. And then go from there. Back on the two Spooky videos. But until then, thank you to my patrons. If you want to have your name at the end of every video, I upload links in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month, so that helps support the channel. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you guys for that. And thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know if you like to watch us in future videos. I'll see you guys, all you guys, next time.